Hi guys, Jake here, just doing a quick little update regarding Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Today we finally got a trailer drop on Nickelodeon. Well, technically it was very late last night on Nicktoons, but it is now premiered on Nickelodeon. The trailer for Power Rangers Beast Morphers announcing to its broad audiences that it will be premiering next week, March 2nd at 8 a.m. So many of us already knew about this through the press releases, through New York Toy Fair last week, but now we finally do have a trailer on Nickelodeon that is in circulation so that the broader audience can be aware that we are experiencing a time slot change and our new season premiering March 2nd. So, interesting little trailer. It's just a quick 30-second spot. I just wanted to do a little quick analysis of it. We open up with a very quick montage of the evil villain robots. They were called Megazords in the original Sentai. Presumably they will not be called Megazords again in this version, but we do not yet have a name for the giant robot versions of the monsters that we'll be attacking. That quick little montage, lots of little flashing leading to the reveal of our new villain, Evox, who is apparently dedicated to gaining control of the Morphin Grid. We do not yet know entirely what that means. The Morphin Grid has obviously been a part of the Power Rangers franchise since Mighty Morphin, and the definition of the Morphin Grid has always been fairly vague and nebulous. So, what it would actually mean for Evox to gain control of the Morphin Grid, we don't know yet. Evox, in and of himself, will be an original villain, it appears. He's going to be a sort of digital cobra functioning as a computer virus, and he is going to have two human-like villains serving him, whose names have been released as Roxy and Blaze. We do not yet know their origins. We don't know how they are tied to Evox yet, or if they are his creations, or if they are human or not. There are a lot of things still up in the air on that front. We then segue into, the big announcer saying, oh, when evil attacks, we need a new team of heroes, introducing us to our three new Rangers, Zoe, Ravi, and Devin. They are fighting the new foot soldiers, Tronics, all dressed in purple. And the foot soldiers, not the Rangers, they're in civilian clothing. And that leads into our first morph sequence, which is really one of the highlights of the trailer, probably the highlight of the trailer, as we see them using their morph keys, which we had seen being posted with the Morpher toys, the Beast X Morpher toy that premiered at Toy Fair. So we do know now with with this trailer that these keys will definitely be used in the show itself. These keys are going to be collectible gimmicks that will be available with every figure that we've seen fully posted through press releases so far. So it's nice to see that's getting integrated, and the morph seems to be a real-time morph, an instamorph that actually involves this colored whirlwind around each of the Rangers with a roaring animal face, representing either the cheetah, gorilla, or bunny rabbit that their powers come from. So that was a really nice looking effect. We also see that their morphers are summoned to their wrists off their bracelets, very similar to the bracelets that were used in Power Rangers Dino Thunder. So just a nice little CG summoning effect, really wanting to show off those key new parts of the toy line to kind of get kids involved with that. From there we get to see a little bit of quick fighting from the Rangers as they jump in front of explosions, pose, and then we get to see the new Cheetah Blaster, which is going to be a Nerf toy being used in a Megazord cockpit by the Red Ranger. This is an original scene because it is an original toy, but they seem to have managed to recreate the cockpit from Go Busters in a surprising level of detail. So that is very nice to see that we're going to be getting those same cockpits, because personally I enjoyed them. I really like the level of detail. I like the integration of the buddy roids into the cockpits in the original source material. So I like they're using those same cockpits and have just recreated them so that they can integrate these new additions to their arsenal. After that, we get to see the Megazord, the Beast X Megazord, fend off some missiles, destroy a monstrous robot with a big explosion behind it. We don't see exactly which one it's in combat with. But it looks like all the Sentai footage that is used in this trailer is focused around those first 6 episodes of Tokimei Sentai Go Busters, leading up to that introduction of Go Buster O, or as it will be called now, the Beast X Megazord. And then in the final moments, we get to see our logo again of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, which was first revealed to us fans at last year's Toy Fair, with the announcer saying that it is coming next week at 8, only on Nick. So that's the trailer sort of breakdown as a whole, some little details going on there. There's a lot of blink and you miss it stuff during that first initial montage. There's one frame where you actually see what looks to be the evolved form of Escape from Go Busters, who is one of the prime villains who was introduced in the second half of the show. However, she has been repainted so that the purple accents on her costume are now yellow. The rumors going around is that this will be a morphed form for Roxy, one of the 2 villains working for Evox. We also got to see what looks to be the Dark Buster costume in combat against Devon, the Red Ranger, and that Dark Buster costume was only introduced in the last few episodes of Go Busters, but appears to be a transformed form for Blaze, who is the other villain working for Evox. So it looks like we'll be seeing these costumes very early in the series and being used very regularly. It's interesting how everything that we see of the Rangers in this first preview appears to be original footage, and overall the production values seem to have received a bump up. This fits with what we've been hearing and seeing up until now, that Hasbro is definitely investing a lot more into the toys themselves and into the show itself. One of the first things that we learned about what was going on with Hasbro running the show as far as changes was they were investing in recreating a lot of costumes from Tokimei Sentai Go Busters that had not survived since it was first aired back in 2012. So it looks like not only did they invest in recreating these costumes, they are also investing in integrating additional pieces of original weapons for the Rangers, integrating more original battle sequences, since we are going to be using forms of the villains that did not premiere until very late in the source material, and here we're seeing them in an initial trailer, before even any sign of any 6th Rangers. We do know that we do have a 4th and 5th Ranger coming up, Gold and Silver. So all of these little elements really do point to Hasbro really investing a lot in this show to make sure that they make a good first impression now that they're kind of having their outing with the franchise. The effects for the morph sequence were lovely. I really enjoyed the recreation of the cockpit and the little bits of green glow being laid on top of the Red Ranger's helmet as he's using his weapon. So these little touches really point towards nice production values. One thing I noticed as far as with Evox was the animation seems to have been improved since the early previews we saw at Power Morphicon last year. We also could see what appears to be the villain's main base of operations, which looks almost like a portion of a lab that's been sort of ripped away and popped into this sort of red landscape, which may sort of parallel Tokimei Sentai Go Busters, where the original lab where the powers were developed was sent into the subspace where all the villains' technology has developed and comes from. So there's a lot of little things that we can glean from those very quick little bits there, just in terms of what's being focused on, what's being highlighted, what's being invested in, making look good, and what's being tied into these toys. So that's sort of a little rundown of that. As far as things that I feel were missing a little bit from the trailer, I think that they could have obviously released it sooner to sort of generate hype among the young fan base, because we do have, obviously the primary audience is young kids, and they have not necessarily been privy to all the press releases that we've been seeing as older fans. So I feel like this trailer is definitely coming late in the game, and with the time slot change coming up next week, I really feel like there could have been a little bit more emphasis on, premiering at a new time, 8 a.m., just so that fans are paying, these young fans pay attention to that last little bit of the trailer, saying it's not going to be at the time that it has been for the better part of the last 8 years. I believe it's been Saturdays at noon since around Mid-Samurai. I think shortly after the introduction of Antonio, they shifted to Saturdays at noon, after initially sort of jockeying around with Mondays and Sundays. So it's been Saturdays at noon for about 7.5 years, so changing that for something other than, a very special episode like the extended edition of the Legendary Battle or the 25th anniversary episode, Dimensions in Danger. Changing that as a regular time slot might be jarring, and we might see a little, ratings dip during that first premiere episode if not enough kids are aware that it's being moved to 4 hours earlier. I mean, even back during the Disney era, we saw premieres happening at noon on ABC Kids for, the better part of the run. So this has been almost a real standby at Power Rangers since about 2002, 2003. Oh, wait, 2002 is when Wild Force was airing on ABC Kids. So yeah, about 2002. So it's been a long time that we've been seeing Power Rangers premiering at noon on Saturdays. So, although we've seen some deviations from there, this is really something I feel like we need to make sure the word is out there. It's going to be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, different times for Central and Mountain Time. Those of you who live in those zones, I'm sure you know what time you're going to be checking it out. So, that was one of my primary concerns. The fact that they've waited so long for this trailer is... I don't want to read too much into it. It doesn't necessarily speak to anything regarding the quality of the show. It may be, just a last-minute marketing approach because things were, they wanted to make sure that everything was ready. Or it could be that, maybe Nickelodeon does not, have as much faith as they should necessarily have in this franchise, that they want to make it a big central push. Or it's just, this is a third-party show that has been on this network for the last 8 years, and so it's just not a big priority for Nickelodeon. So I'm trying not to read too much into that, late in the game release of the trailer, and hoping that this is just a result of Hasbro really taking their time to get it right, which we've seen a lot of so far with their attention to detail in the toys that were premiered at Toy Fair, and also with the amount that they're now investing in the production values of the show, which were, pretty clearly visible in that trailer. Regarding the writing of the show and the story of the show, we really don't know anything yet. We've really been kept in the dark outside of that typical, back of the toy box style blurb saying, we've got a new enemy, Evox, trying to gain control of the morphing grid, and we have Rangers using the power of Morph X to fight him. We don't know anything about the characters beyond that general outline of the premise. So we're going into this pretty blind at the moment, unless there's any new reveals dropped in this next week, which, who knows, there might be. Hasbro has been playing it close to the vest, and we really don't know what they may be busting out in this next week. But regarding the actual writing of the show and the quality of the show, we do know that throughout the entire history of Power Rangers, there have always been complaints of not enough budget. And one of the big changes that we're seeing in Beast Morphers is that there is more money being put into it than we've seen before. When Disney bought Power Rangers back in the early 2000s, we know that there was a drop in the budget as they moved to New Zealand. When Saban Brands bought it back, it seemed pretty obvious that they were getting to their old habits of, trying to make it on the cheap, hence not investing in union writers. Nothing against the people who are writing the show now, but that was almost certainly a cost-saving measure. So the fact that we are seeing so much more being invested into the show monetarily does speak well towards what the production team will feel like they're able to do. Now, whether they'll be able to deliver on that remains to be seen. We saw some really good stuff during Dino Charge, and we've seen a bit of a slide in quality over the last 3 years with Dino Supercharge, Ninja Steel, and Super Ninja Steel. And everything before Dino Charge in the Saban Brands era was rather weak, to say the least. It had a lot of problems that I've spent, like 80 episodes of a web series discussing, so we don't need to get into that right now. But we know that these writers have done some good work in the past. We don't know how much of the issues that we've seen with specifically Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel, we don't know how many of those issues were a result of executive influence at Saban Brands, and how much of that will change under Hasbro. So those are things that I'm keeping in mind right now going into it. I'm looking forward to resuming our Power Rangers live reactions next week. Me and my wife Marissa will be resuming our live reactions where we sit on the couch, watch the episode off our DVR, and we have our own discussion. That will be a live stream again, just like we did during the latter half of Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel. So please join us on our YouTube channel next week at 7 p.m. We watch the show after dinner, since Marissa and I both have jobs that frequently require us to work on Saturdays, and we want to make sure we have a regular time that's reliable. So again, that'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us for our live reactions to the premiere of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. I'm also hoping that March will mark the return of Power Reviews yet again. I have some filming that I'm going to be doing with one of my actors a little later this coming week, and it's looking like I'm finally getting availability from my other actors during early to mid-March. So hopefully before the end of March, we can finally release 87, which has been sort of raring to go, but I just need those last few shots to tie the sort of pivotal moments of the episode together. So once that's taken care of, I'm looking forward to releasing episode 87 of Database Rangers Power Reviews, and keep rolling through the rest of, the increasingly inaccurately named Year 3 throughout this 7th year of working on Power Reviews. I'm nearing completion on several scripts that I've sort of been working on in parallel to one another to fit with the parallel nature of some of the storylines in the late episodes, but I am working on scripts in the 90s, working up to the 100th episode and final episode of Database Rangers Power Reviews, so that hopefully I'll be able to film all those episodes with my supporting cast over the summer, and then continue producing them without having to worry about actor availability moving forward. So that's the updates for Beast Morphers, those are the updates for this channel, and I look forward to seeing you guys March 2nd for the premiere of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. So, until then, when I get to analyze oh, how they've used that Go Busters footage and how it will differ from my Power Rangers Grid Defense fan film. I'm really looking forward to finding out and analyzing these differences. Until then, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.